Could something that saved your ancestors actually be putting you at risk today?
That's a thought-provoking question.
It is, and that's exactly what we're diving deep into today. Um, the genetics of kidney disease.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah, it's a story full of twists and turns, so buckle up.
Okay.
We're going to start all the way back in the 1980s. Back then, researchers started noticing this troubling trend. Black Americans were facing kidney failure at alarmingly high rates.
Really?
Yeah, way higher than other groups. And it was a puzzle, like what was going on?
Right.
And the first piece of the puzzle came from a study by Smith and his colleagues in 1983.
Oh, I remember reading that one. It was pretty pioneering for its time.
Absolutely.
Even with the limited technology back then, they managed to show this uh, powerful connection between race and the speed of kidney disease progression.
Yeah, and it really hinted at, maybe there's something genetic going on here.
It really did.
But it wasn't just about access to health care or socioeconomic factors.
Right.
Those were considered, but the disparity remained. Scientists like Johnson in 1988 dug deeper. He expanded the research, looking at both African American and African Caribbean populations.
Oh, interesting.
And what he found added another layer to this mystery. Similar patterns of kidney damage, even in the early stages, showed up.
That was a pivotal moment. By including people of African descent from, different parts of the world, his work suggested a genetic link tied to their shared ancestry, not just their current environment.
Exactly.
That was huge.
Yeah. So we had this genetic connection, but no culprit. The mystery just got deeper in the 1990s. Davis and his colleagues in 1992 took on the challenge. They were studying African-American families with a history of kidney failure.
Okay.
What they discovered was startling.
What's that?
Kidney failure clustered in families even when factors like diabetes and hypertension were accounted for.
Wow.
Siblings, despite different lifestyles, developed kidney disease at similar rates. This was strong evidence of inheritance, but the specific gene, the one causing it all, remained elusive.
It was a huge question mark. If not just diabetes or high blood pressure, what else could explain this familial grouping of kidney failure?
Right.
It was clear the answer lay somewhere in their genes.
Exactly. But where? The search intensified. In 1997, Bailey and his team decided to focus on genes regulating blood pressure. They thought, could variations in these genes explain the higher kidney disease rates?
Yeah, it makes sense given the known connection between, high blood pressure and kidney damage.
Exactly. It seemed logical at the time, but the results were surprising.
Oh,
They did find some variations in blood pressure genes more common in African Americans.
okay.
But these variations alone couldn't solve the puzzle. There was still a missing piece, something more complex at play.
So the genetic basis of this disparity was more intricate than initially thought.
Much more.
It was around this time that technology started to offer new possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. The early 2000s saw the rise of advanced genotyping. Suddenly, we could scan the entire genome for clues.
That's amazing.
It was. And in 2004, Patel and his team published groundbreaking research. They were scanning the genomes of African-American families with kidney disease, hunting for genetic markers shared by, family members who developed the condition.
Okay.
What they found was a major step forward.
I bet.
They identified several regions on different chromosomes linked to kidney disease risk. But one region, a section on chromosome 22, stood out. It was like finding a treasure map, you know. But the real challenge, finding the exact location of the treasure, was still ahead.
Oh, I see.
Right, and the digging continued. In 2008, Kramer and his team narrowed their focus to a specific area on chromosome 22. They were on the hunt for that culprit gene. They were using deep sequencing to examine this region in detail.
Wow.
Imagine being able to read the genetic code, like letter by letter, uncovering even the slightest variations.
That's incredible.
It is. That's the power of deep sequencing, and it led them to an intriguing discovery.
What did they find?
They found this striking amount of genetic variation in a gene called APO1.
APO1.
Yeah, APO1, particularly in people of African descent, it was a tantalizing clue.
So did they finally find the culprit gene?
Well, that's where the story takes an incredible turn. This is where the concept of a thrifty genotype comes into play.
Thrifty genotype. I'm not familiar.
It's something that evolved to be advantageous in one context, help people survive, but turns into a liability in another.
Oh, interesting.
You ready for this?
I'm all ears.
In 2010, Genovese and colleagues published a landmark study that changed everything.
Okay.
They definitively showed that two specific variations in the APO1 gene, called G1 and G2, significantly increased the risk of kidney disease in African Americans.
Wow. So they found the link.
They did. But here's the twist.
Hmm.
Those same G1 and G2 variations, the ones increasing the risk of kidney disease today, actually evolved to protect people from a deadly parasitic infection called African sleeping sickness.
Really?
It's a fascinating paradox.
It is. A genetic variation can be both a savior and a threat, depending on the circumstances.
Exactly. It shows how our genes, shaped by evolution, carry this legacy. What was beneficial in one environment can become a risk factor in another. But how do these APO1 variants actually cause damage at the cellular level?
They discovered that the variant protein can literally create pores in kidney cells.
Whoa, so it's like it's punching holes in your kidneys.
It is leading to cell death and contributing to various forms of kidney disease, especially a particularly aggressive one called focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, or FSGS for short.
FSGS, right?
We've learned a lot about APO1.
Yeah.
We've seen early clues hinting at a genetic factor, how the search narrowed down, and how this gene, with its, dual role as protector and potential threat, was finally identified.
And we've explored how this gene can wreak havoc at the cellular level, fueling a range of kidney diseases. But the story doesn't end there, right? What about the recent research from West Africa?
Ah, that's where things get even more intriguing. Most research on APL1 has been done in African American populations, but to fully understand the global impact, we need to look at its prevalence and effects in Africa itself.
And that's precisely what a brand new study published just this year in the New England Journal of Medicine did. Conducted in Ghana and Nigeria, it provides some of the most comprehensive data on APL1 and kidney disease in West Africa, the ancestral homeland of many African Americans.
This study is groundbreaking for several reasons. First, it was massive.
Oh, how big are we talking?
Over 8,000 participants, making it one of the largest studies of its kind on the continent.
That's a game changer. With a data set that big, we can get a much clearer picture of, APL1's prevalence and impact in the very region these genetic variations originated.
It goes even further. They didn't just rely on clinical diagnoses. Hundreds of participants underwent kidney biopsies.
So they were looking at the actual tissues to confirm the presence of specific kidney diseases, not just relying on, symptoms or medical records, huh?
Exactly.
That's a whole new level of scientific rigor. What did they find?
Well, they confirmed the high prevalence of APL1 risk variants in West Africa.
Okay.
Nearly 30% of participants carried 2 copies of the risk alleles, similar to rates seen in African Americans. But there's a crucial nuance here that challenges previous assumptions.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
The study found that even having 1 copy of a risk allele increased the chances of kidney disease. It wasn't just about having 2 copies.
So even inheriting just 1 copy of the G1 or G2 variant from one parent increases your risk compared to someone with no risk alleles.
Exactly.
Wow, that completely changes the way we think about, risk assessment.
Absolutely. It has major implications for how we approach screening, especially for people of African descent. The study also delved into the specific types of kidney disease associated with APL1, confirming what previous research had shown.
That these variants are strongly linked to FSGS, that particularly aggressive form of kidney disease.
Precisely. Participants with 2 APL1 risk alleles were 84% more likely to have FSGS than those with no risk alleles. Even having 1 risk allele increased the odds by 61%.
Those numbers are hard to ignore.
Yeah.
It really underscores the role of APL1 in kidney disease development,
Yeah.
especially for those of African ancestry. But we know it's not just about genes, right? Our environment and lifestyle play a role too. Did this study address that interplay?
It did. They looked at how APL1 interacts with other contributing factors like diabetes and high blood pressure. And the findings were striking. Even after accounting for these factors, plus HIV status, APL1 risk variants still had an independent effect on kidney disease risk.
So it's not just that people with APL1 variants are, more likely to have those conditions. The gene itself seems to be, directly causing damage, regardless of other risk factors.
Exactly. Managing those other conditions well is crucial, but if you carry these APL1 variants, you're still facing an elevated risk. This underscores the urgent need for, targeted interventions and therapies that directly address APL1's effects. But there's another layer to this study that I find incredibly fascinating. They went deeper, looking at ethnic subgroups within Ghana and Nigeria.
Okay.
And they found variations in APL1 variant frequencies between those groups.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me there's variation even within West Africa?
There is. And it raises questions about the evolutionary history of these populations.
It's like a genetic time capsule, revealing how our ancestors adapted to their
Hey,
environments.
think about it. Those APO1 variants protected against sleeping sickness, spread by tsetse flies. Tsetse flies are mainly found in specific African regions. So populations in those areas would have faced greater pressure to evolve resistance.
So the variations we see today could reflect the different environments and disease pressures encountered by different populations throughout history.
Precise.
It really challenges us to think beyond generalizations about like entire populations and appreciate the nuances within them.
Absolutely. This West African study has expanded our knowledge about APO1 in profound ways. It's given us a clearer picture of the gene's prevalence in its ancestral homeland, the dose-dependent nature of the risk, the link to FSGS, and the complex interplay with other factors. It's a landmark piece of research, but it also opens up, a Pandora's box of new questions.
It does. We now have incredible knowledge about APO1, but now we must grapple with the ethical, clinical, and scientific implications.
For example, what are the ethical implications of screening for APO1 variants? Knowing that even a single copy can increase your risk is powerful information.
A double-edged sword, right? Knowing your risk can empower you to make informed decisions about your health, but it could also lead to anxiety and, potential discrimination. It's tricky territory.
It is. And what about treatment? Knowing APL1's central role in kidney disease opens up, exciting research avenues, but also presents significant scientific hurdles.
We've uncovered a vital piece of the puzzle, but it has unveiled even more complexities. It's like peeling back layers of an onion, revealing more and more intricate details.
A good analogy. And it's precisely what researchers and clinicians are grappling with right now. This study has ignited a surge of interest in APO1, and we can expect more groundbreaking discoveries in the coming years. It's a rapidly evolving field full of promise and challenges.
It's been quite a journey. We've traveled through decades of research, uncovering genetic vulnerabilities and exploring the intricate dance between evolution and disease. So let's pause for a moment and, connect this back to our listeners. Why should they care about this story? What does it all mean for them?
Well, it's a story that resonates on multiple levels, I think. First, it highlights the incredible complexity of our genes. Something that was once beneficial, like protection from sleeping sickness, can become a risk factor in a different environment. Yeah, it reminds us that evolution is a continuous process, constantly shaping who we are.
For those of African descent, understanding your genetic heritage, particularly when it comes to APL1, is crucial.
Yeah, it can really help you assess your risk for kidney disease and make, informed decisions about your health.
Knowledge is power, right?
It really is.
Knowing your APL1 status can empower you to take control of your kidney health. But this research isn't just relevant to people of African descent, I don't think. It holds lessons for everyone. It underscores the role genetics plays in, all our health outcomes.
We need to move beyond simplistic notions of race and ethnicity when we think about disease. We are all products of our evolutionary history, and understanding that history can help us better understand the challenges we face, both individually and as a society.
This deep dive into APL1 and kidney disease has been a real eye-opener. We've journeyed through decades of research, uncovered hidden genetic vulnerabilities, and explored the intricate dance between evolution and disease.
It's been a fascinating exploration, but before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Remember how the West African study found those variations in APL1 variant frequencies even within West Africa?
Yeah, different ethnic groups had different frequencies of the G1 and G2 alleles. What's the significance of that?
It gives us a glimpse into the complex history of human migration and adaptation. Those variations might reflect the different environments and disease pressures that diverse populations face throughout history.
That these genetic variations are echoes of the past, telling a story about how our ancestors moved and adapted to their surroundings.
Exactly. And it prompts us to consider how those adaptations might be playing out in today's world. As we delve deeper into APO1, we may uncover even more connections between our genetic heritage, our environment, and our health.
It's amazing to think that these tiny variations in our DNA, passed down through generations, hold clues to ancient migrations, disease outbreaks, and the constant interplay between risk and protection. We are all connected not just to each other, but to, our shared evolutionary past.
And those genes are a powerful force, shaping who we are and influencing our health in ways we're only beginning to understand.
And well said. It seems like we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of APOL1 and kidney disease.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the early clues to the latest research, but this is a story that's, still being written, and I'm eager to see what new chapters unfold.
Me too. It's a testament to the power of scientific curiosity and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be inspired to, contribute to this field and help solve the remaining mysteries of APOL1.
That's a great point. Each of us has the potential to, make a difference.
Until next time, keep those minds curious. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.